Hello. How am I going to start this one? I think I might be wrong here. I might be wrong, but I think when you, I don't think anyone's gifted a spot on an AFL list at all. I think anyone who gets that opportunity, whether they're 17, 18, 23, 24, whatever, 28 years of age, and they get an opportunity to be on an AFL list, they've obviously earned it. Either through just pure talent at the junior level, or just perseverance and fucking grit and determination. If you are overlooked and you come in to the system through the let's say through the back door, and if you come through the back door and you're a little bit older, I think it's from a maturity point of view and an attitude point of view. I think a lot of those blokes who come in, and they've been given a chance when they're a little bit older, well equipped to possibly. I mean, not all of them are going to succeed, but to do very well in the environment. That's that. Yeah, I don't know that for sure, but I think just looking at Jordan Boyd and his journey into the AFL, and the fact that he was picked up in the mid-season draft, which was such a surprise to all back in 2021 when Nick Austin called his name out from the Western Bulldogs VFL team, the Footscray VFL team, not the Western Bulldogs, the Footscray VFL team out of Spotswood. Just never even played TAC NAB League. He was playing footy at Spotswood and battling in the under-18s and playing some reserves games, and then got an opportunity at Spotswood in the seniors, did okay, and then he got an invite to play or to train down at Footscray VFL. So. Not a lot was known about him when he arrived at the club with Alex Nurkoff. Got a 6-month contract, and in that time he would have had to have done something, I don't know, you would have thought relatively special to be at the club the following year, because, I think we picked up, who was it, DeLuca, in similar circumstances the year before. Was it the year before or the year before that in the mid-season draft? And he actually played senior football. And we delisted him. We just got rid of him. But Boydie, he arrived at the football club. I think he copped an injury early days in the VFL for Carlton in the VFL, and we hardly saw him. He was on the injury list. He was never considered to play senior football, and he must have done something right. He added a combination of attitude, projecting what he could offer physically. I'm not quite sure, but he was given a 1-year contract, remained on the list for this year, 2022. And I suppose the rest is history now, because he's just signed a 2-year deal. Another 2 years remain at the football club into 2024. And that's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Not a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal for Jordan Boyd. I love it. I really do. I think it's for him. I don't know. There's something about that I really like, and I feel confident in this kid for some reason. Although I am keeping somewhat of a lid on it, because we're looking at such a small sample size here with Jordan Boyd. A really small sample size. But there's a combination here with this. I don't want to keep calling him a kid, because he's not a kid, but he is inexperienced. Something about him in regards to both his attitude and what he can offer in regards to his skill set. And the combination of the two joining together makes him a really really, I want to say it, a really exciting prospect. And I'm not talking exciting as in an A grade. I'm just talking exciting for our team, and what he can offer moving forward. And I don't know, geez, but I'm going to keep a lid on it. 24 years of age, because we can get carried away. We can get carried away with these types of players um, at such an early stage in their career. Uh, 24, 7 games, career games and games this season. So he's gone 0-7. Position small defender, although I think he's got the capabilities of, pinch hitting on a wing at times. He can push up the ground. I don't know a lot about his engine. He's got great speed. Don't know a lot about his engine. But I think he's a really hard worker. And he probably, is the type of person or player would really want to improve on that part of his game. But he has got a great foot on him and likes to hit the ball inside 450. So, but essentially played as a smallish type defender. Contract status mentioned 2 years, selected mid-season draft. Blah blah blah. The story. Season snapshot started in the VFL. Had a good pre-season, but was overlooked early days. We pretty much had a full list to speak of in regards to that smallish type defenders, although we did have Stocker on the sidelines. But as the year progressed, I think Boyd clearly skipped in front of the queue in regards to Stocker. He played round 1 in the VFL against Brisbane, had a very good game, 20-odd touches, then got his opportunity against Hawthorn in round 3, his senior debut, when Adam Saab was laid out with under the health and safety protocols. And I think the early stages of his time with us, it was, there wasn't a lot there. I mean, there wasn't a lot there that we were getting overly excited about. It wasn't like he was jumping out of us, and he was in and out of the team. Played the following week against the Suns, then omitted for the Port game. Went back to the VFL against Richmond, then omitted again for the North game in round 7. Returned to the VFL, came back into the senior team against Adelaide in round 8. And I think this is when I saw the potential of Jordan Boyd in that round 8 game against Adelaide. And I reckon he was so unlucky to be omitted again. There was a pattern of him coming in, omitted, and I thought round 8 Adelaide, not so much he arrived as a player at AFL level, but it's sort of, I don't know. I saw some things. I saw some courage flying against coming against the flight of the ball, getting crunched and taking a great mark. I saw him pushing up the ground hard at the contest. But he was omitted again after that round 8 game, and he was replaced by Lockie Plowman, who Boyd had replaced Plowman, who had had COVID. So he was so unlucky that he replaced Plowman, who had COVID, and then Plowman got over his COVID, then replaced Boyd, who I thought showed something. So it showed some really good signs in that game against Adelaide. Returned to the VFL for 2 games. Excellent against Sandy. I had a huge game. A little bit quiet against the Northern Blues the following week, but then got another opportunity against the Bombers at senior level on a Friday night after the mid-season bye, which was round 13. Was then able to string 3 really good games together. So round 13 through to 15 is when we really sort of started to see a fair bit in Jordan Boyd. So he played against Essendon. It was really hard that night. It was a little bit wet. It was really hard. Didn't win a lot of the ball, but he just did a few good things. Then outstanding against Richmond and pretty good in the game against Fremantle. Copped a foot fracture late in that game, was subbed out. Initial reports said that he would be a chance to return late in the season, but they put him to bed, put him on ice. We didn't see him again, which was a little bit disappointing. But then signed that 2-year deal at the end of the season. Statistically, I mean, these don't paint a great picture, but I think they definitely improved in the last 3 games he played. So average kicking efficiency 74%, intercept possessions 4.3, one-on-one 1, score involvements 2.6, tackles 2. I mean, all those things will need to increase. This is why you keep a lid on things, but it's such a small sample size, below average in metres gained. I reckon that potentially could go up. As to me, he's a meters game type player. But I think as he grows in confidence, if he gets opportunities, he should be able to lift that disposal count, hopefully up around about the 16 or 17 mark, which will then increase that meters gained. But I think he's a big meters gained type player. Pressure act 7.99 below average. I think he's better than those stats suggest. Mentioned Stiff to get dropped after that Adelaide game. But if you're looking at his best of performances against Richmond, 16 touches, 10 contested, 5 tackles, and 11 intercept. 3 rebound 50s and 3 inside 50s. He was very good that night. I think he arrived that night. And then the following week, I mentioned he flipped it from 10 contested possessions against Richmond to suddenly becoming a lot more confident. Only had the 13 touches, but 10 were uncontested possessions. So he started to link up. He started to be a lot more proactive in his offensive game, and started to show a lot more confidence in taking the game on. And this is for me the areas he will need to improve on, trying to find that balance between being a lockdown defender, which I think he can do okay, but also using his skill sets to be an offensive type player. Because I don't think you can just have lockdown defenders anymore. You know, you can't just say, look, your job there is to go out and keep him to 0 possessions and have none yourself. Okay, I think all your players, particularly in your back half, need to be able to rebound. And show some type, particularly your smalls, need to have some weapons in regards to offensive play. Strengths, I've got perseverance, resilience. You know, I think he's got some upside. Brings great energy. Great kick. I don't think we've seen the best of his kicking yet, but I think he's potentially the best kick at the football club. Got good speed. I don't know. There's the question marks on his endurance. I'm not quite sure. I'd love to get along to some training and watch the boys run to see where he is in regards to the running groups. Hunger and discipline. You know, so they're great. To me, when you look at his weakness, I think he looks like he does most things quite well. And it's hard at this point, you haven't seen a lot of him, to know his weaknesses. I'm sure as he plays more games of football, he'll start to pick the certain things where he really needs to improve. But I just think the confidence to know that he belongs. You know, I think there would still be a sense, and I know he signed a 2-year contract, but there's no doubt in the back of his mind is, you know, there's some real bloody stiff opposition at this football club that I need to overcome to be a regular in this team. You know, and I've done it the hard way. I've got an opportunity, which might put him on the back foot at sometimes. You know, just does he belong at this level? And can he get the balance right? Can he be brave enough to really show his wares and his strengths? Yeah. So I don't know. I really like him. I think one word for me is it clicked. Something happened. Something happened where it just went bang. He arrived. But it's 7 games. I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. A 5 out of 10. You know, and I would have loved to have seen him. I would have loved to have seen him finished off the year to see where he could have got to in season 222. Big questions for me is will he just be a good depth player? Or will he essentially take the next big step and cement a regular spot in our best 22? That is the big question and the obvious question. What do you think, guys? Jordan Boyd, can you see him being a regular in our best 22? Not in 2 years' time, I'm talking next year. Because you need to, the game doesn't wait for you. Everyone needs to get a wriggle on. Has he got it? Has he got it in him to be part of the best 22? I hope that makes sense. Speak soon.